How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Dead Jester Productions podcast, episode number 189. I'm your host, Josh, or Jay Moskers, joined this week by Benjamin. Thank you for being here, Benjamin. It's nice to meet you.
A pleasure.
And special guest this week, other than Klaus, aka Benjamin, for the week. He's a musical artist, bit of a gamer. You talk to people on the streets. I've noticed in some of your content. It's God. How's it going, man?
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, I mean, what's up, guys? It's me. Yeah, and those aren't random people on the streets. Like those are like musicians and artists and like some pretty
I didn't mean to put anyone down. I just meant talking to people on the street. Yeah, but yeah, why don't you tell people about what it is you actually do and what you got going on over there?
What do you mean? Like what I actually
like you work with music, you make YouTube content, things like that.
Well, I mean, that's just stuff that I do, right? Like that's just stuff that I do to keep me from being bored. But I mean, I'm me first, right? Like I only like those things are very situational. I mean, if we were born 200 years earlier or 200 years later, we wouldn't be podcasting or YouTubing. That stuff is all like that's just passive stuff. But as far as that, I mean, I just do stuff to entertain myself. I play basketball. I interview people in my network, which consists of celebrities, pseudo celebrities, comedians, entertainers, motivational speakers. I post some pretty decent content, just interactive and engaging content. You feel me? But that's just a byproduct of the current society that we happen to be existing in.
Yeah. So I did want to ask this. I saw that I think you tried doing you were doing stand up.
Yeah, I didn't try to. I did do.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's why I correct myself. Yeah, you actually did do it. How does that come about? Was it just like an open house or something?
So I was casting for this pilot that I'm working on. And there's this independent film coalition that has these monthly meetups or something like that. And I showed up, and everybody likes me when they meet me. Go figure, right? You meet God, and you end up liking.
Can I ask a question? Right? I'm sorry, I cut you up. Are you saying that you were the one doing the casting, or you were the one that was cast in a role?
No, I was the one doing the casting.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good. And one of the owners of the place told me it was a comedy club as well. And told me they did an open mic. And then I was on Instagram the other day, and I saw this video from a guy named like Mike LePang or some shit like that. Apologies. And his kid or whatever was doing stand up, and I was like, you know what? I think it's about time for me to I forgot about bro to take up on that offer. And then I hit him. I was like, hey, when's the next time you guys are doing a stand up? He said, oh, actually tonight. I was like, bro, sign me up. So I went there. And nice. I showed out and I did my thing. And I did some improv too. I'm a very highly talented individual.
Nice. I respect the confidence with it too. A lot of people would be very nervous about doing that sort of thing on the fly.
Maybe.
So you got kind of like a childish Gambino thing going on, a little bit of everything.
I wouldn't call it a childish Gambino thing. I would just call it enjoying my existence.
All right, well, I guess some more. He just does a little bit of everything, a little bit of the acting, a little bit of the music, comedy.
Things in life. You drive, you walk, you eat, you sleep. We all do a little bit of everything. It's just some people choose to show it, and other people choose not to. And it's like I just do things that are that I find entertaining. Right? We're just existing here. Right? It's not so much about trying to be like anybody. I'm myself. Right? Like. You ask me, hey, what do you want to, if you were to ask me when I was little, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I probably would have given you a generic answer, right? But if I could put my mind now into that, I'd be like, I want to be myself, right? Like everything else I couldn't care less about. I don't care about being a comedian. I just happen it was fun for me, right? I make good music, right? I enjoy the things I do very well because I don't like to waste time. I'm very efficient. But it's not trying to be like this. I mean, I box, I do MMA as well, and I'm very good at those things. I play basketball. I'm good at everything I do because I don't waste time, right? And I like to enjoy my time here. So it's not trying to imitate anybody. It's just you guys collectively as a unit still don't completely understand what it means when I tell you that I'm God, right? So it's like instead of me stressing over it, I'm just gonna do things to have fun until you guys get to that point to where you can understand that, regardless if you believe that or not, that the things that I say speak for themselves.
So this was something I actually wanted to bring up too. Like, so like your content everywhere you're at is God. Like, what made you decide to like have that set up
What made me?
as your
Yeah, life, basically. I mean, you go through an experience, and it's like I tell people this all. This is what I tell people, right? I say this will answer the question. So I tell people that in order for a belief system to work, you have to believe in it. The moment people cease to believe in it, it doesn't work anymore, right? Like Christianity or any religious belief or any or like Santa Claus, right? But the truth, regardless if you believe in the truth or not, the truth will remain true. And the thing about the truth is like the more you fight against the truth, the crazier you look, right? Like if a door is on fire and somebody and it's not on fire, or blah blah blah. It's like regardless of how you want to try to like flip that or manipulate that sentence, like when it's all said and done, the door is going to be burnt to ashes, right? And if you're arguing with that, you're goofy. And that's basically what it came to when life started beating into me like, hey bro, like this is who you are, and I'm like, that shit sounds crazy, right? That's wild to me, right? uh, the more I fought against it, the worse my circumstances in life started getting. And one day it got to a point where I'm like, I've seen enough to where like I'm not fighting this anymore. And I'm like, the moment I did that, everything started getting easier for me. And then other people started fighting. I'm like, if you guys want to fight it, be my guest, right? Like you're gonna do the same thing that I did. You're gonna get tired of getting beat up, not by humanity, right? You're gonna get tired of like actually having life toss you around, and then you're just gonna have to accept it the same way I did. So it's what it is. I am who I am.
So you accepted yourself as the creator?
I accepted myself as who I am, as who life told me to be, as who life told me I am.
Who's that? Who'd they tell you to be?
God. No, life told me to be somebody else, right? So, like for instance, Klaus, right? That's not who you are if that's your name or not, right? That's who life told you to be. That's who society told you to be. You came here and they assigned you a name. That's not who you are. You were never that, right? But you can't see it that way because the perspective that you have on life has come from the society that's also indoctrinated you, right? So you think you're born and someone gives you a name and an identity. No, that's not how it works. That's just how you guys see life because of the way society's been working for so long, right? And it's like, so I've been me. I've been God from the moment that I was born here, right? But because you guys have a weird system and structure to where you like to try to assign and take control of people, hey, this is who you are, this is what you are, this is your social security, this is whatever, right? You guys on the outside start trying to create a cartoon character or something for the life size version of Monopoly that you guys are lovingly or willingly or unwillingly participate in. And like I said, I don't like wasting time and playing games and things like that. It's a massive waste of time. So I'm not gonna play in this little system or the little structure that you guys happen to play in. And it's weird because a lot of you guys used to argue about it with me, and I'm like, it's crazy because I hear you guys complain about how much you hate the system that you live in, and you guys are arguing with me because I don't want to participate in the life size version of Monopoly that you guys play.
So what are some of the decisions and you make to avoid partaking in the life-size Monopoly? What are some of the things you do
Just using
differently?
I use my brain. That's really the biggest thing, right? What I've noticed is the more you use your brain, the less indoctrination you'll be able to have, right? So I look around at people and I can tell it's like all you have to do is think about something. You don't even like, as long as you're thinking about something, right? Not if you're like trying to like use your energy to like belittle somebody or whatever, but if you're just like thinking or asking a question, then everything becomes apparent, right? And I sit around and I look at people and I'm like, if you believe what they're telling you, that just shows me like you just have never actually used your brain, which I didn't think was possible.
Well, like in your day-to-day, if you're not doing the normal game of Monopoly, like what's a day-to-day activity that would have me playing Monopoly compared to you not playing it?
Well, I'll just answer that. However, I just be chilling, bro. I be minding my own business. The big thing that I do different than everybody. I actually tweeted about this the other day, or something along those lines. Tweeted or whatever. The big difference between me and the majority of the people, right? The only thing I do different is I don't lie, right? But that doesn't sound like a big deal, but it makes all the difference, right? And people used to call me like weird back in the day, and I'm like, because I've always told the truth. So I'm like, if they're calling me weird, that just tells me more about them. It's like they're calling me weird because the only thing that I do different from you is I tell the truth. So if you're calling me weird, that just means that you're a liar. That's all that means.
I think we're still confused as like the answer of like what you're. I know you said like you don't lie, but how does
Yeah.
that? I know you also said that you didn't want to play the game of Monopoly, so I don't
Right.
understand like what it is. Like, is there a way you can expound upon this idea of not playing the game in day to day life?
Uh, I mean, yeah. Be smart. Figure out ways to figure out ways to free yourself, I guess, mentally, right? And I know in some circles that sounds like, oh, he's crazy, right? And it's like at this point, or like people hear that from whoever and like, oh, that's crazy talk. And it's like, regardless of what you call it, it's true, right? That there's a reason why schooling is mandatory, damn near, in most societies, right? And it's reflective. You can tell based off of the way each society reflects, right? You can kind of tell where somebody's from based off of the indoctrination that they've received, right? They teach you how to live a government approved lifestyle, and anything that exists outside of that lifestyle is looked down upon. And people who step outside of those lines, I'll give you 3 names, 4 names, 5 names, and you can figure it out pretty quickly. You have Jesus Christ, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Andrew Tate, and Donald Trump. Those are people who've all stepped outside of the lines of their society. What's one thing? What's something they've all got in common? They've all been attacked, right? They've all been persecuted. They're all marketed as whatever, right? 3 of them got assassinated, right? They would probably kill Trump if they could. They would probably kill Andrew Tate if they could, right? Anytime somebody comes along and offers you something outside of what your ruling class allows, the ruling class attacks them, just like the Catholics did when people introduced the scientific method, just like the settlers did when they took over Hawaii in the 1900s and banned teaching their language in school, right? Just like when you guys slaughtered the Native Americans, bro. It's the same thing. That's what you guys have been doing for a couple of centuries now,
I don't
or
see
more than a
how
couple of centuries.
how Andrew Tate and Martin Luther King are similar at all, man.
Oh well, it's cool. I can
One of
explain it.
one of them is a
Please don't
civil
insult
rights
people.
leader, and
Right,
the other one is a
right.
guy who just says terrible things about
Right. So
women, dude.
let's not insult people. That's another thing I do, right? Regardless of how I feel, I try not to insult people, regardless of how I feel, because you never know who you're influencing, right? I don't like being insulted, so I don't insult people. You never know who's listening, who may hear you insult somebody, and now you just created more stress for somebody. There's a healthier way to talk about that. But no, Andrew Tate says, first off, Andrew Tate says some very I agree with you. The things he says about some things he says about women, and that's one of my things about Andrew Tate is like he's a very wise man, but it's scary some of the viewpoints that he carries on like misogyny or whatever, because a lot of what he says about like standing, like a lot of what he says about how to like become confident and whatever, a lot of that is true, right? I experienced that as an individual before I figured out who he was. Um, but I mean, just like anybody else, right? Wise men can still say some things that because it's the indoctrination, right? Like I can see the like that's why I say there's certain people like Andrew Tate, I can still see the his indoctrination, right? He's which is a lot of his like viewpoints on females is just like a product of his environment or his society. But the man's very successful in like at least with what society calls successful, right? Monetarily, physically, mentally. So to try and insult somebody like that to me is just odd. Now to disagree with people for sure, right? But to try and insult somebody like that, especially like if you're not in that same type of position, like to me that's just being like a hater. Um, and I try to stay away from things like that because it doesn't feel like beneficial. I feel like if there's something we disagree with, we can find like healthier ways to bring that up too. Um, yeah, I think we can find healthier ways to bring up things that we disagree with. Because I agree with you, right? Like some of the things he says about women are a little worrying.
Some of the things he says, some of the things he does to women as well are pretty concerning.
I've not seen like what has he done. What's going on with that?
He was sex trafficking women.
Oh yeah, see, so here's the thing about that, right? This is how much power society has, right? They like our governments control just about everything, all the content we consume for the most part, right? It's becoming more lenient. And here's the thing about it, bro, because I don't know who to believe, but I know America and all these governments, they're known liars, right? They're known liars. So here's how I feel. If I don't like you because you're speaking out against my society and you're very powerful because you have a large following, I can tell the cops to go arrest you, and I can put it on the media that you were sex trafficking somebody, and the public will believe that, right? Because they've raised us to look at them as credible, right? That's part of the problem, is you guys don't think for yourselves. That you allow them to do the thinking for you, so they can put whatever they want on the television, and you'll believe it because they told us to be credible. But the truth is, none of us in here can say for sure was he or was he not sex trafficking, because we don't know him personally. What if he's the one that
said he was doing it though?
What'd you say?
What if he was the one saying he was doing these things?
He said he did not sex traffic. Like, I've heard that. Like,
he said it wasn't sex trafficking.
What was
but
it?
He admitted to doing the things that they said he did. He just said it didn't count as sex trafficking.
What did they say he did?
He was luring women in with the idea of like wealth and, like fancy things. And then he kept them there.
He kept them there? What does that mean?
He forced them to make illicit videos of themselves, and then he took the money from it and wouldn't let them leave.
He forced them? I don't know. I'll have to look into that, because I can't take your word for that either. And I'm not saying you're lying, but it's like I'd be a hypocrite. Like, off of the statement that I just made, I'd be a hypocrite to be like, oh yeah, like that would be hypocritical of me for just saying that. Like I can't. I'll have to do my own independent research. So yeah. I think that's
he wasn't giving them their passports back and stuff.
Right. I'm not going to get in. Me personally, I don't get into things like that because I don't know. Right. Like I'd have to do my
Well, you put the man on the same level as Martin Luther King.
No. That's not what I did. I said they're similar. Right. And they are similar because they've got similar experiences. Their lives are very similar. Right. Like they're people who the ruling class of government have a very difficult time controlling. Therefore, they're targets of the ruling classes. That's a very similar lifestyle.
I see what you're saying as far as like governments trying to lock things down. I think one of them is a target from the government, or was, because they were trying to overturn, decades of literally keeping an entire race of people contained.
Right.
As opposed to another person.
Martin Luther King wasn't trying to overturn slavery. Slavery had already been overturned.
I'm not saying slavery. I'm saying he's trying to, fight for rights for Black people.
Right. And I mean, Andrew Tate is doing something similar, right? It's not as extreme as like a black and white issue. But he is telling people how to sort of. They don't want more people like an Andrew Tate, because if there was more Andrew Tates or more Trumps, they would have far less control. They don't want people to be able to see through their lies, right? That's what MLK, if you take away like all of the external and like the details, MLK was basically making people aware of what was actually happening. Same thing with like NWA when they made Fuck the Police, and they ran a smear campaign. Like any company, like America would be the company, and their PR would be like the press, right? Just like any good marketing team for any other public relations team for any other company would do. If somebody attacks you, you get to the story first and you spin it, right? And you make yourselves look like the good guy, right? That's what the media does. That's what public relation teams and whatnot does. But MLK was doing something similar as Andrew Tate, right? They're telling people. They're showing people the lies. They're making the lies so visibly clear, so mentally clear for people. And the more, like how they say it all the time, the truth will set you free, right? And it's like that's a very impactful saying, because it's true, right? For instance, like a truth that I give people all the time. I'm gonna assume you guys are both what we call Caucasian. I'm not for sure. That's just an assumption. So correct me if that's incorrect.
But I'm Italian.
Okay, for sure. So European descent. So often that I'm black, right? So what you guys consider black. So often being black, I always see how black people are so violent and the most dangerous. And I've had people from like other countries tell me like they view black Americans as barbarians, and I'm like, that's just crazy to me because the most savage and barbaric people on the planet for the better part of a couple thousand years have basic outside of China, right? There's exceptions, but it's basically been people from European descent. I mean, uh, even like when it comes to gang wars, right? People be like, no, the Bloods and the Crips. And it's like, for sure, right? The Bloods and the Crips get in a turf dispute and maybe a couple of people catch a couple strays, right? For over turf disputes, right? But when white people have turf disputes, you guys drop nukes on people. When white people have turf disputes, you guys destroy civilizations. When white people have turf disputes, people have to get in bomb shelters. When white people have turf disputes, like it's a global impact. And that's the truth, regardless if you want it to be true or not. That's the truth, right? But you guys haven't been able to see it like that because they've put an image in front of your face, the way they market themselves to you guys, and they try to justify those actions. 9/11 happened because America, like the Bloods and Crips don't have the same type of firepower as Russia and Ukraine. Like those organizations, those gangs, whatever you want to call them, they're doing this exact same thing, right? At a significantly larger scale. And the reason 9/11 happened was because America was over there bombing people. That's what happens. Like when you, if me and my homies spin the ops block, we should expect to get spun back on. That's how gang warfare works. But you guys don't see it as that because you guys believe everything that they tell you. You just accept what they give you guys without using your minds for yourselves.
That's a lot to unpack there, bud. So
I understand it's the truth, though.
I think my original comment was I just found it strange to lump Andrew Tate and Trump in with Jesus and Martin Luther King.
For sure. No, that can be strange. I hear laughing. Is anything I said incorrect? Would you like to disagree with the statement that I just made?
No, it just went for a long ride there, bud. Took me for a ride.
For sure. Do you agree with what I said, or do you disagree?
I mean, which part? There was some of both. You could go either way in a couple of it.
What did you disagree with?
Well, I mean, what for the major points? I guess I'd have to start with. I disagree that the Bloods and the Crips are kind of making similar decisions as countries on country level scales.
What do you mean? I didn't say they made country level. So what I said was the Bloods and the Crips are an organization. America and Russia are organizations. And when the Bloods and the Crips have turf disputes, maybe a couple of people get hit with a stray bullet, right? But when America and Russia have turf disputes, you guys drop nukes and destroy civilizations.
Well, I just think I wouldn't really refer to it as much of a turf dispute.
It is a turf. They are turf disputes. Like even so, we can take it back a little bit further. Like wars are basically usually turf disputes, right? Like the Civil War was a turf dispute. The Alamo was a turf dispute, right? Wars are basically turf disputes, bro. Like that's all it is.
Say always. I'd say sometimes.
No, I didn't say always. I said basically. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, no, I'm not trying to throw your whole argument under the bus here. I just mean in some instances, it's not necessarily about the land itself. It's more about throwing their power of their militaries around.
Yeah, sometimes it's the get back too, right? Like if I spin an op, like I should expect to get spun back. So sometimes it's the get back. And then like for instance, Russia and Ukraine, that's like a more powerful gang or organization saying, "Hey, we want this turf," right? If I'm a gang and I know that we're more powerful than the next gang over, we're gonna go get rid of them, and now our turf just increased in size. It's the same. Everyone's doing the exact same thing. It's just some people have the power to make you view what they're doing as different. For instance, a scenario I give people: I kick down your door. I hog tie you. I take your money and I take your weed. Right? It's the same thing, but if a blood does it versus if a cop does it, you look at it in two very different ways. But they did the exact same thing.
I'd argue most people probably don't view it differently. I would argue most people have a
view
view
it
of
differently. Most people wouldn't say anything if they saw a cop do it, but if you see a gang, if you see like a blood do it, or a crip do it, or a black person do it, yeah, bro, I see it all the time. Like I see like black people on the internet do things that, like, if a cop did it, uh like if a cop did it, it's excused because the way we've been raised to look at police officers. Like, for instance, I say that in like one of my, we talked about, I make music, right, as a way to kind of help people. And in the first song on my project Burn Your Maps that I dropped, called Shut In, the opening line is, niggas bringing choppers out, everybody catching bodies now, from the police to the robbers now. And what that means is, like, guns were created, everybody's killing each other, from the people who society tells us to look up to the people who society tells us to look down upon. Everybody's doing the same thing, you just view it differently because of the way that they've been marketed to us by our ruling classes.
My point was, I don't think people view it differently when the cops do it, in the sense that it's because they look up to them or the way they've been marketed. It's, they don't do anything because the police have firearms and power, and they're aware that the police will not be held accountable. It's this, it's similar to how you describe the, you know, the Bloods and Crips,
Right. I think
U.S.
so.
Russia.
No, I understand.
It's just a
I
larger
definitely
scale
understand.
organization doing it.
Yeah, no, I understand that viewpoint for sure. And like, and I'm not gonna throw that under the bus, but I'll say this, right? Like, uh, there's a saying, out of sight, out of mind, right? So there's things that, like, black people see or experience. I can scroll the internet all the time, right? And people do excuse, like, people don't, it's not because of the badge and the guns, it's because of the way that, they've been presented to us, right? Like,
I think it's the, what the badge and the gun represents.
or no, it's not what it represents, but what
It
we're
represents
told
a
it
strong
represents.
union that will not
What
allow
we're
them to be
right.
held accountable.
Well, right, but I get, no, I understand what you're saying. I just don't want to say it that way because there's not a flaw in it. There's just a detail, and there's, like, I can feel a detail in there that isn't. But like, it's, yeah, it's what we're told, like, they're supposed to stand for, right? Like, we look at the cops. The cops are presented to us as noble people, right? If they're doing this, it's to make you safer. That's what we've all been taught. But the reality of it is like, you'd be goofy to believe if that's the only thing that was going on, right? Like, the world isn't like all sunshine and rainbows. And it's like this, right? Because
I
people
don't
so
think most
often,
people view cops as the ones, you know, being dutiful and upholding law and order. I would argue that the majority of people, U.S. at least, the majority of people do not have a
judging
horribly
from how
positive view
often
of
you guys
cops.
call the cops, I would disagree with that. I would completely disagree with that. I've had cops called on me for simply stepping into buildings, so I'm gonna go ahead and disagree with that through personal experience.
I'd feel like like your personal experience doesn't reflect the overwhelming
Right. It's
majority of
not
data
just
that's been
my
gathered,
personal
though.
experience, though, right? This is something that, like, people have been telling you guys for a while, right? And like, the way you guys lean on the cops and the things you guys call them for, nah, bro. Like, I'm gonna go ahead and disagree with that statement, simply because until you, I guess, experience something, which is why I tell people all the time, experience is like a major part of life, right? Um, but the thing about experience is, everybody doesn't have the same experience, right? Like, for instance, Donald Trump and you live on the same planet, or let's say you and Drake, we live on the same planet, the same rock, right? But you guys' life experience, you guys' experience on this planet is completely different, right? You guys don't have the same lifestyles. You don't experience the same things because there's so many factors, right? So like this, here's a good way,
I feel like
right?
that's an easy way to brush the argument under the
Well,
rug
no,
there.
here. I'm double down, and I'm giving new insight with this example, right? There's a lot of celebrities, right? You, after celebrities get bigger, right, you sort of see people who, like, start doing things like they wear different clothes and whatever. And one thing that regular people do, oh, these people sold their soul, right? Now imagine you're a celebrity, right? Imagine you worked your ass off and now you're one of the most famous people on the planet, and you get on the internet and you see a whole lot of people saying you sold your soul, but you're like, but you know you didn't, because you worked, and you're like, bro, why is everyone saying I sold my soul? And then all of a sudden things start clicking for you to where you're like, yo, not only did I work hard to get here, but everyone around here. So it's like, if they're saying that we're satanic and doing all of this, then they're like, and that's untrue. Now they're able to rationally look at life and be like, oh, bro, all of this stuff that you're being force fed and taught, all of that stuff is fake. You guys believe in like devil worshiping and all of that, and you're saying we're devil worshiping. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting at home eating a Snickers. But you guys think we're somewhere sacrificing human bodies and drinking blood, right? Like that's why experience is so important, right? Because most people have difficulty seeing through the lies, because you have to sometimes experience something in order to see through the lies, right? And most people haven't experienced something to where like you've got a group, a gang of people, a large majority of people saying this about you and saying that about you, right? For instance, like I guess in America,
I think this is conflating the majority of people with a very small vocal minority, because
most people just listen to Jay-Z's music. You know, they're not. Most people aren't like he's in the Illuminati.
Exactly. The whole Illuminati. The fact that you even said that just shows that you understand that was an incorrect statement you made, because Jay-Z, like the whole Illuminati thing was huge, and it still is big. Like it still is big. It's not as big as it was, right? But like, come on, bro.
Yeah, but it's like 15. It's like 1,500 people just posting a ton.
15. No, this was even before like social media even took off, though. Like this was before.
I'll refer to your point specifically about like the like devil worshipping, side of like cult, essentially, right? Where you've the wealthy ruling class, so to speak. That is such a small vocal minority of people that actually believe that, though. It just gets used in propagandized, media. It's not that people actually believe it.
No, I mean, who are we to say? But based off of experience, that's incorrect. But like, who are we to say what everybody believes? Like, one thing that like you may not believe it, right? And here's one thing that I had to learn to stop doing. I had to learn to quit using myself as a baseline for thinking that like the way I behave or the way I think, like that was my normal, and I assumed that it was normal for everybody else too. So like, if you're saying maybe everybody doesn't believe that, maybe you just can see through that, right? But like, the way you think isn't the way everybody else thinks, right?
Oh, trust me, but I know my thoughts aren't normal.
and to say so to speak for other people in the way of saying like most people don't see it, right? Like I wouldn't, like I know I'm doing the opposite by saying like the majority, but like I can back that up with like I can back that up with, I can probably log on to Instagram right now and click on a recent comment of somebody telling me something similar. Like it's you see it everywhere, bro. Like it's,
I feel like again, relying on brought it up. Comments on Instagram and YouTube is not the place to go for
sure.
Solid evidence.
You guys, before social media, it was vocal, right? Like I didn't learn about the Illuminati through social media. I learned about the Illuminati through somebody telling me Jay-Z sold his soul when I was like coming up, because that's what people believed.
Yeah, but that came from the internet, though.
I mean, the internet wasn't that big back then, bro.
It was pretty big. 2006.
Maybe for you.
Yeah, not for. I mean, it was pretty big. Just not the level it is today.
Like,
big enough.
The internet in 06 was like what? I mean, maybe y'all had. Would you have MySpace in 06 or something? Like, nah, it's nowhere near the same.
No, not the same, but it still
not even comparable.
That's where those rumors started.
I don't know. I don't know if we could actually say that, right? Like I don't that's not a good thing to do, right? That's like I don't know if that's cuz you don't know for a fact, or you don't know for certain, right? It could have started some random person on the street. They could have been saying that before the internet, right? So like that's why when I say like I don't do things like that. For instance, like regardless if you did it intentionally or not, like that's if it could be a lie, if I don't know without a shadow of a doubt, right, then I won't make that statement as true, right? Now there's some things that I'll say that like I may have a shadow of a doubt, but I won't announce it, I won't present it as truth, right? Like that's a peeve of mine of society, is like we get so many things presented to us as like this is a fact, right? And when we're told a fact, like a fact is like a structural truth. But the problem with that is a lot of the things that are presented to us as facts, like, aren't actually facts. They're just society's limited understanding of, like, for instance, it was considered a fact like 2,500 years ago when they was writing the Bible. It was considered a fact that the earth was flat, right? It was considered a fact that they were sea monsters. It was considered a fact that you could sail off of the face of the earth. 200 years ago, it was considered a fact that they were burning witches on the stake in Salem, right? Like, just because you call something a fact doesn't make it a fact, right? Like, and that's the truth. What I just said is the truth. Just because you call something a fact doesn't make it a fact. That's the truth. And you can try and argue with that, but like, you wouldn't go anywhere, because what I said is the truth. That's why I love the truth so much, because like, when people argue with the truth, it's just kind of like goofy. For instance, like Pluto, like, remember, it was a fact Pluto was a planet until it was a fact Pluto wasn't a planet. But the actual fact, the actual truth in that is that nothing about Pluto's fundamental relationship with existence changed before humanity recognized it as a planet, and nothing about its fundamental relationship with existence changed after humanity declassified it as a planet. That is the truth. That is a fact. That is the truth.
I think it's semantics, though. It's
that's more of a standard in measurements.
No, that's not semantics. I'm gonna say it again, because what I said was true, right? Regardless if we classify Pluto as a planet or not, nothing about its structural or fundamental existence within reality changes. That's the truth. Regardless of how we classify it, nothing about its existence or its relationship with existence changes. That's the truth. You can't argue that. Like, that's actually true. That, like, the thing about the truth is the truth can't be argued. So like, if you were to say semantics again, I would just repeat the statement that I made, because the statement that I made is going to remain true, right? Like, regardless of if we consider
Pluto did not change, but the semantics thing I was referring to was the way we used to describe it. It went from planet to planetoid.
Yeah, dwarf planet.
But
none of that stuff.
But
none of that, and like, that's what I say. None of that stuff matters anyway, right? Like, all of that.
I think
like,
it prefers a little person planet now. I think they're done with dwarfs now.
But like, oh yeah, you can't say dwarf, can you? Right? But that's another thing. Like, man, that's another thing with that's another thing is like, there's so much things, like, there's so many man-made structures that we just like fight over. Like, for instance, words are like language. That's those are creations of man, and we're kind of programmed and taught how to respond to certain words. Like, in the Black American community, if someone calls you a nigga, right, or a nigger, then you're taught to respond in a certain way. And vice versa. On flip side, white people, whether they learn directly or indirectly, right, understand that, like, if you want to get a reaction out of somebody that's of like black, call them a nigga or a nigger, and traditionally you would get a reaction to that. I forgot why I was telling you that. I forgot why I was telling you
that. Something about how the classification of things doesn't change the fact of what it is.
No, my bad. No. So, like, we it's like a waste of time, right? Like, we view life, not visually through our eyes, but we view life how we perceive it mentally, right? And there's people who know that, right? And there's people who not only fight for the space that exists outside of you, but they fight for the space inside of you. They fight for your thinking patterns and thinking processes, because if I can control how you think or what you think, then I can basically control what you do, which is why I don't want people coming out and thinking for themselves, but actually making logical sense, like a Martin Luther King or an Andrew Tate or Donald Trump or Jesus Christ or Malcolm X. I don't want people like that, because I don't want them to teach other people how to use their brains, because if everyone starts using their brains, then now I don't have any power.
Well, what is it they want me to think?
For yourself?
No. Well, I thought you said they didn't want me to think for myself.
I thought you were referring to the Tates and the Christ. What is the government and ruling classes want you to think? They want you to think whatever you give them. For instance, like in America, you think you believe you're free. Most people believe they're free, right? We have freedom in America. And it's like, no, we don't. It's an Uncle Sam approved version of freedom. The moment you step outside of what Uncle Sam wants you to do, Uncle Sam's going to show you that you were never actually free. And to be honest, like, you don't like paying taxes, right? So that tells you right now you're not free. But most people would say that they're free because the indoctrination that you receive, you pledge the allegiance, and they tell you that what you're living is free. because they force your mind to work in a way that is beneficial to them, not beneficial for you. It's about compliance. Why do you think? Why do you think? Why do you think when kids or you take any other animal and put its cubs, its kids into a school and ask them to sit still for 6 hours? Good luck with that. You're gonna have to do the same thing that you do to humans, and you're gonna have to create it. You're gonna have to concoct a substance that makes them more complicit. Why do you think all of these diagnoses that they give you, ADHD, ADD, whatever, like they give you that, and then they give you a pill that's been specifically made to turn off parts of your brain to make you more complicit? It's all about compliance. They want you to be complicit to the rules and regulations that they have set.
I still find it weird that you're lumping Andrew Tate and Trump in with Jesus, Martin Luther King.
I mean, you'll have to. Well, I mean, you dig,
especially with like, we've talked about Andrew Tate, like Donald Trump, for instance. Like, this is not a guy that wants people to think for themselves. Very clearly,
that's not true. See, so here's what this is. True. God, so Donald Trump is a okay. So I'll say it like this, bro. I didn't really always care about Donald Trump, but around COVID time is when I started learning a little bit more about him, and then I noticed that like we behave in ways that are very similar, and I was like, well, shit, I'm me, right? And people respect me, right? So I'm like, if he behaves similar to me, even Ye is someone you can put in that class. When Trump was going around, bro, a lot of people, even though we knew that the media lied, because you can turn on Fox, CNN, and CSNBC, and they can all run you the exact same story and give you a different variation of each story. Most people knew, but most people didn't. Trump comes out, hey, fake news, fake news, fake news. He's literally telling you to think for yourself in doing so. Don't listen to that outlet. They're liars. They're liars. The reason they don't like Donald Trump, right, is because Donald Trump
don't listen to them, trust me.
And listen to my lies instead.
Donald Trump, he's not a liar, and he doesn't speak in. I got you. I got examples. I'm gonna back everything up I say. Right?
I've got 90,000 examples of him not being truthful.
Of course you do. Donald Trump speaks in a way similar to me, to where like it's difficult to for instance, it's difficult to play that game. That's why like the nerds don't like people like us. You can't play games with us. Like Donald Trump was on a news show with a lady, and he was like, if I was president, I would have the Ukraine dispute over in 24 hours, right? Which is in line with what I was telling people, right? He says the same things I say. I just say it in a more narcissistic way because I'm God. If you put me in a room with Putin, 10 minutes, 30 minutes or less, I'd have it. And the lady's like, okay, well, what side are you rooting for? Who do you want to win? And she was like, what do you mean? He's like, who do you want to win, Russia, Ukraine? And he's like, it's not about people winning. It's about getting it done. And she's like, yeah, but what side are you on? And he said, lives are being lost. He said, we need to get things done. And she was trying to vilify him and flip him and make it seem like he was doing something wrong when what he said was so true. And I go to the comments and I see a bunch of nerds saying, oh, he's blah, 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 and he's this. And I'm like, are you guys dumb? Like, do you hear the words that are coming out of this man's mouth? Are you stupid? Are you stupid? He just said, I don't care about picking a side. It's not about picking a side. It's about getting this situated and solved because people are dying. Yeah, you idiots are too foolish and stuck in your own minds like little fucking children. You idiots are asking, who do you want to win? Like it's an NBA game. It's not an NBA game, right? This is real life. This is people's lives actually being affected. And so for these clowns to sit here and try to belittle, and for these clowns for these jesters to sit here and try to make a game out of this, and try to their whole agenda was to try and vilify him and make him out to be whatever. It's like, that's goofy to me. That's like, you guys, that's goofy. That's like one of the
He wanted people to inject bleach into their systems.
Man, he did say that. Hey, anybody who did that, look, that's goofy. I agree. But here's the thing about that, man. If I tell you to drink bleach and you drink bleach, I don't think I should be held responsible for that. Because it's like, hey, bro, shoot yourself in the foot. If you shoot yourself in the foot, I don't think I should. Even if I
think for themselves,
for sure, right? But like, even if that didn't change anything, right? But it's like regardless, if I tell someone to go drink bleach and you drink bleach, that's not my fault. Like, you weren't supposed to be in the gene pool if you did that. If you don't recognize that you shouldn't be drinking bleach, like, it doesn't matter. Like, that was never my fault. Like, you just weren't meant to repopulate because you should know better than drinking bleach, regardless, right? Like, I don't care if Jesus Christ himself somehow actually has a respawn token, right? You guys believed that he could walk on. You guys believe everything, but like, that's why I don't argue with like y'all, because y'all believe that a man could walk on
I don't know, you're
water.
throwing me under the bus.
Man,
I don't even believe in Jesus.
For sure, right? There you go, right?
Actually, that's not true. Apparently, he was a real guy. I don't believe the novella.
But you know what's weird about that? Yeah, I agree. You know what's weird? Names don't translate. Like, so if his name was Yahshua, like, however we got to Jesus, I heard someone explained it to me in their best, and it kind of made sense, but it still doesn't make sense to me. Like,
names, you wouldn't even people think he was a white guy. Like, that's crazy.
You wouldn't even know how to pronounce it, because nobody knows how to pronounce the original Dead Sea Scrolls that it's all based off in the original translation.
Man, all of that, it's like children's tales to me. Like Adam and Eve and all of that, all those children tell. Like, bro, here, are you guys idiots?
I'd like to think I am, yeah.
For sure. Okay. So and then I guess we'll be able to get to the bottom. This will tell us if you're an idiot or not. So let's say that one day you see me building a big ass boat, and I'm like, hey yo, some guy from the clouds, God's presence said, hey yo, we about to get this flood, and we gotta get on the boat. And you're laughing at me like, yeah, right. And I'm like, nah, bro. He said like all the other animals that live on the planet is about to get on the boat, and you're like, all right, whatever, bet. And then like one day you're sitting in the middle of a desert and you see the big boat being finished, and then you wake up and you see a gang of animals just lining up to get onto the boat. Polar bears and all these animals you ain't never seen, 2 by 2, cordially not bothering each other. Are you gonna keep laughing at him, or are you gonna get on
what did the plug sell me, dude? Where did the polar bears come from in the middle of the desert?
Right. See, that's another thing, bro. Like, the way we spend our time is important. Like, I like efficiency. That's why like I took the motto from Lil Wayne. He said it in a song with Drake called Believe Me. It's not about what you walk away from, it's about what you walk away with. And that's something that I have to put into practice often, because so often, like, I'll be in situations where like there's time being wasted, or watching television or something, right? Like, there's so much nonsense on TV, right? And it's like, if I'm going to have to be forced to sit around all of this goofiness, then I might as well try to find a way to tune into like, what can I take from this situation to make sure that, like, just because time is being wasted externally, right? Because people like to waste time. What can I do to make sure that my time isn't being wasted? Because at the end of the day, time is like so important. The reason the world looks like this, the reason society looks like this, is because this is what people have spent their time creating, right? This is what people's time has been spent creating. Right. So that's why when it comes to me, time is not something that I play around with. I'm like, I treat my time how most of like the clowns on the outside treat their Monopoly board money, because that's what's actually important. So when I don't appreciate when I'm around, like, but that's like, there's so much time being wasted everywhere. And it's like, it's just wild. Like, but I'd like, at that point, like, I'd get on the boat. Like, if I seen a gang of animals, if I like, I don't care how, like, I don't care if I'm Helen Keller. I'm a field in vibrations. I'm gonna know something ain't right, and I'm gonna make my way onto that boat. I'm done laughing at that point. I'd not laugh anymore. Like, I would not laugh again.
But nobody else was invited on the boat in the story.
No, so I don't know. I don't know the story for sure, but like, so I heard the way it was told to me was that he had people help him build the boat, and the workers didn't even get on the boat. That's what I was told, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, that's just that's how it was given to me, right?
It's been a few years since I went through the Bible, but I believe, I believe in the lore. He's instructed not to tell anybody in the original lore. It's just act as if you're half out of your mind, you know?
But if I see a big ass boat being built, and then I see a gang of animals, right? And a gang of, like, the boat is one thing, but like, you see the animals getting on, it's like, I'm like, at that point, I'm like, I don't care, bro. Like, I'm gonna get on this boat just to see, just in case. And if nothing happens, worse meets worse, I get laughed at when I get off of the boat, right? But like, if I'm seeing all these other animals, like, my laughing is done at that point.
And how good is my 5000 BC shit clay house anyway compared to a wooden boat? You know, spend a few nights on the wooden boat.
Bro, you know what's even crazier about that? Like, when you go to a zoo, do you have lions and Arctic animals next to each other? Are they in the same habitat? No. Why not? Because art some animals need certain climates. So like was this ark magically climate controlled? For like and what about like seeing saltwater and freshwater
Oh
animals?
yeah,
Like
that's an easy one to poke holes in because an elephant
oh
eats
yeah.
3 tons of foliage a week.
Oh
You
my
know,
god.
if they're on there for that many, it's not even enough square footage to store the foliage for one set of animals, let
Yeah,
alone
like
all of them.
that like it would literally like
Because
man,
it's like a
that's what
50-foot boat or something. Yeah, it's not even. When you get into the schematics, the measurements,
yeah.
it doesn't work.
I
It
mean, it
doesn't
was more than
shake out.
50. I think it was a couple, but even
It's
like with the number that they
40
gave us, it doesn't.
cubids, so I think that's like
Cubits.
That's crazy.
that's
Yeah.
like 80 feet or something.
Seriously, mad. And it's like, bro, like they really be playing with people's intelligence. Like they really just be like, bro, like you can tell them whatever, and it's like, no, you can't. And be like, hey, tell them some man walked on water, and I bet you they believe it.
60
And it's like
feet.
they never believe it.
60 feet.
Like, bro, imagine sitting in a group. Imagine sitting in a group where like this is how scary society is, right? Because this is why people fight for your minds, right? Because let's say that the whole world believes in Santa Claus and you know Santa Claus is fake, right? And you tell someone Santa Claus is fake, but because they all have the belief that Santa Claus is real, they will call you delusional and they will put you in a mental hospital and force pills down your throat simply because they're idiots. Right? And it's like that's what it's like telling the truth in a world of lies until you can tell the truth in a way to where even the idiots can understand it, right? Because eventually they grow and then they realize like, oh snap, Santa Claus actually is fake, and we treated this person like hell because they tried to tell us so and so, right? Like that's kind of what my experience has partially been, right? Like I'm telling people, hey yo, I'm God, but that's not the reason I'm telling people that. Like if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you, but it's like listen to the things that I'm saying, right? And it's like imagine like a group of people calling you delusional because you don't believe some random caveman could walk on water. Like that's where the world was, or maybe like that's where the world was. Like people would literally call you delusional for saying people can't walk on water or people don't have respawn tokens. Like that's bro.
I feel like that was also at a time when it was very difficult to get information,
Oh no,
and
this was
the
recently.
ruling
Like
class made it difficult to
Yeah, the
get
Bible the
information.
Bible's still the most sold book every single year.
it's wild, bro. Like it oh my, and it's like but it goes deeper than religion too, right? Like even like in order for America to exist outside of the physical power firepower that they have, in order for it to work continuously and smoothly, everybody has to subscribe to the belief systems that America and these other organizations have put into place. Like for instance, borders and state lines, none of that exists. Like if you cross from Kansas to Missouri, like reality doesn't say congratulations, you're in a new state. The GPS tells you that because in order for that stuff to work, you have to believe in it, right? That's why they force you into their camp or their schools, and they make you believe. They make you believe and see life in a way that is beneficial to them. If I got a gang of schools and and if I tomorrow I become me, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and we decide we want our own schools, and we start teaching them like, hey yo, just because they tell you borders exist, and then all of a sudden like the whole population understands now America has a problem on their hands
I
because
don't think anyone like is trying to say, "Oh, there's physical borders between states." Though I think most people are very like forward
I
about
would
it being a way to organize. And
I would say opposite. Here's why I tell you that. I understand where you're coming from. I do, right? And I understand also that like, but that's not true based off of me telling people this and people are like, for instance, I've told people like someone said good day, like have a good day, right? Or something like that. And I said this intentionally, kind of knowing what to expect. And I said days don't exist, or like the way you guys measure days, like 7 day weeks, that's not actually real. Like that's human technology. People don't understand that. They don't understand that like, yo, a 7 day week doesn't even exist everywhere on the planet. You go to the North Pole or the South Pole, you're not gonna get a 7 day week, right? Or like or you will, but it's not gonna be 24 hours, right? Like you got months of darkness and months of light at times, right? Or even time. Like
but that's the same
time
thing as the state borders. It's just a way to organize things. It's
No,
not
I
meant to be a
understand.
physical
I
manifestation of anything.
understand its purpose, right? That's one of its uses. But the way it's been presented to people is it's become a fundamental part of people's lives to where they actually can't see anything outside of a 7-day week. If I tell them that like there's no such thing as a 7-day week in reality, right? They can't wrap their minds around that because all they know is what they've been given. So I tell them like, bro, like uh I could come into power tomorrow, take over the planet, and burn every calendar and switch us to a 12-day week. And that would be the new normal. So now everyone's used to having a 12-day week after a generation or two, and that's all they know. So
Well,
that's what I'm
the
saying.
only difference would be after a few years, the seasons wouldn't match up with the months on a
No, you
regular
can. I can
basis.
change. No, if I'm changing the calendar, I'm changing all of that. And we're gonna have a 12. We're gonna have a. They barely match
Well,
up now.
that's why it's 7 days, and we have
Nah,
one day of the leap
bro.
year.
They barely match up. I don't know that to be true, but I'm pretty sure that's not the reason. But like
They
they
That is
like the
though.
seasons
that's
don't.
It's
it has
organized so they
comes
could
from
manage their harvesting
yeah,
The
for
seasons.
seasons.
harvesting seasons.
Well, it doesn't work anymore. Like the seasons
It
don't even
does.
match up like that anymore. Nah, bro. Like you're telling me as if like I'm not about to give you an example. Like the seasons don't even
I can
match
give
up
you
like that
examples.
anymore.
I live in a farmland area.
Bro,
That's the whole point.
I live in the Midwest, and what I'm telling you is like for the past couple of years, our summers and winters have not fit that. Like our fall and our summer and all of that has not fit that scale. And anybody who lives in the Midwest or Kansas or Missouri, whatever, will tell you the same thing. As a matter of fact, there's videos that are posted about it constantly. Right, the seasons don't match up today how they used to, and that's the truth because we're experiencing it. And to argue with that, maybe it's not the same in your region, but in my region, the farmland region, it remains
I'm
that's
in a
true.
farmland region.
Right. Well, then either you're lying or like you're
The
lying
season
or you just happen to live in a la la land where it
the
still works.
seasons still flow in the same months. They're just the extended periods are a little off because of global
Mm,
warming.
It's
I don't
not
know
going to
what
be
I
rigid.
don't
This
know
is
if I
the
would
day when
say
everything
that. Like,
changes. That's not
because
how
I
anyone
don't know,
expects it to go.
like I don't know if I would argue that. That's what I'm saying. Like that's not the. I'm sorry, bro. It doesn't work like that. Like that's not how the world works. Even if it worked for like that for a little bit, like the work. That's not how things work. Like it would be nice in a perfect world for sure, but it doesn't work like that. Like even if you like
What doesn't work how?
it, like the seasons, like it's not going to be January. Like we don't have 3 month seasons. Like sometimes January, February, March, April, May, June, July could be the same weather, and then all of a sudden summer kicks in. Like we didn't get snow. We didn't really get a winter here. I want to say until way later, maybe earlier even this year. Like I don't think we got any like real winter months until like January or February, right? And like I don't know if that's the right time period, but that's what it is, right? But it used to be like December you would always get snow. We haven't like it hasn't been like that. It hasn't been like that for a while. It used to be like in the middle of June, it would always be hot as hell. But like June was kind of nice, and we're in August, and now August feels like well, we got the solstice now. August feels, bro, it's like boiling, right?
I
And
think
it's
you're
like
conflating climate change and the reason behind the
it's not just
origin of our
climate. I
seven
mean,
day
I
week.
understand it's not just climate change for sure. I mean, because global climate change is something that's it's continuously happened throughout Earth, right? Like throughout
Yeah,
Earth's
but it's
history, we've had.
definitely been accelerated.
I
And
mean, maybe or maybe not. We've had multiple ice ages, and we've had
There is
multiple
so
ages
much data to
of
back that
un-ice
up, though.
oh
ages.
yeah,
For
you
sure,
can.
but
It goes.
there's also a lot of data that backs up a lot of other claims that can be refuted. And I'm trying to think of like, for instance, when you get to talking about autism, where I can look up an argument
Yeah, but
for.
it's a measurable thing. They've been measuring the weather longer than they've been measuring anything else
I can.
scientifically. You go back to
Uh,
scientists,
I mean,
thousands of years they've
I
been
don't know what I
measuring the
said
weather.
for sure. I don't know if I would. I don't make statements like they've been measuring the weather for longer than anything else. You
They
can't say
have.
that for
They haven't
certain.
been. That
They've
is
been measuring it
literally
for a
the
long time
first.
for sure. But we
That is the
literally
first
that's the
steps
first thing man
in
started
scientific
measuring.
movement. Yes, literally,
I'm
the
not for
first
sure
thing we
about that.
started
That doesn't
measuring
sound
was to do with
I'm also a
farmland.
very educated individual, but it's like I'm sure we were measuring things before weather. right? Like
all of our recorded documents and measurements started for farmland.
Anytime a lot of times when a society takes over another society, a lot of times they burn what they have. Like for instance, we take it back to when the Catholic Church was ruling.
Right, but if you just go to the basic, hold on a minute. But if you 1 second here, man, just But if you go
they didn't want the people to have that outside knowledge. We know for a fact that for a fact that like they've admitted to like burning and destroying all of these civilizations. We know that for a fact. So we don't know how much information that we've lost. So to make a statement,
right, like, we have lost a lot of information, but when you go to the same archaic, when you go to archaic civilizations, they literally start their records, no matter the language, no matter how they count numbers, it all starts in origin around farming and construction.
That's how they survived.
In every society. It doesn't matter what side of the earth they find it on. When they link back their earliest recorded documents, whether they were conquered or not, their first ones are always start with farming and construction.
Right. I mean, again, like for sure. Do you have? Where are you pulling this from? Where's your source? Because again, like I like the reason I like to speak in truths. Like regardless, the reason I speak in truths is because when you for instance, somebody called me a liar the other day, right? And I said, you can call me a liar all you want. But when if you tell someone I'm a liar, people are going to listen to what I say and they're going to try to tear everything. They're going to take everything I say and try to find flaws in it, right? And the thing about the truth is there's no flaws in the truth. The truth is absolutely flawless, right? So regardless of what people think or what people say or how anyone tries to flip, if they're listening to me and trying to find faults within what I say, they won't. And it's not because I'm better. It's because I have spent enough time to look for what is true, right? And once you come across the truth never changes, right? The truth is always, okay, hold on. Actually, let me pause that statement. So the truth never changes, but the truth also flows in a way of like this, right? It's the truth that the sun exists. What we call the sun exists. That's the truth. Right? But the sun didn't always exist, right? That's also the truth. And that sun is not going to always exist, right? That's the truth as well. That's also the truth. Right?
I think we've gotten off the topic of the whole point was just
because more than one thing can be true at a time.
Like,
necessarily because of climate change.
What you guys are doing, I think, is kind of, and it's not just you guys individually, right? So I'm not sure, but like a lot of people do it. What you guys are doing is kind of dangerous, though. Like when we give, like, a lot of people want to win arguments or want to be right and things like that, and my focus is
present evidence. It was backed up by hundreds of years of data.
When you tell the truth, for sure, right? There's evidence. There's evidence that says that they were marketing. There was evidence that said that what did Kellogg say? That eating cornflakes would make you stop masturbating, right? There was evidence that cigarettes
evidence out of, but those were evidence and studies that they paid for. You're referencing a study that was paid for by someone to get a narrative, though.
There was evidence that the Earth was flat. There was evidence that you could sell off of the face of the Earth. That's why their societies believed it, right?
There wasn't evidence. There was not evidence to that.
They believed that they had.
They believed it, but they didn't have evidence.
Right, and so it's the same thing.
The second that they discovered how to measure, the minute they discovered measuring, they figured out that the Earth wasn't flat.
That's untrue. That's untrue because like there's still people on this planet who say that. And like, for instance, like they're at the point. So this is why I'm not a fan of education, right? Because education is just society's collective agreement on what's true and what's false, right? Like an educated person thought they were burning witches in Salem, and an educated person today would say that the Earth is.
I would say that was probably someone who was not very educated that was burning people in Salem. They were not educated at all. They were not basing any of their decisions off of evidence.
At the time, they were the leaders of their community, right? Like educated people.
That doesn't mean they were educated, though.
We've had educated within their society, is what I'm telling you. They were considered to be educated at that time. That is the truth. They were the leaders of their society. They were considered to be well-educated individuals were burning witches, right? Well-educated individuals 2,500 years ago, you would be considered well-educated if you believed the Earth was flat because that was the common belief system. They were, even though they were wrong, they were still considered educated, right? That's the truth. You can't argue with that. That's the truth. right?
It's not. And I think you're changing the word educated with what people believe.
No,
they're not
be
believing
smart.
You can be
born smart.
They're believing.
Yeah, they're not educated. They're having beliefs. Those are beliefs, not being educated.
That's what education is. Education is a belief system. What do you mean? No, it's not.
There has to be evidence.
Calling Pluto a planet is a belief system, or calling Pluto not a planet, that's a belief system, right?
No,
that's education.
It was a quantification. It was a quantification of a measurement, and when the measurement changed, it was no longer quantified as a planet.
That's the truth. Education is a series of, for instance, it was once Al Gore once told a story where he was in high school or middle school, whatever, and he had a classmate ask, "Hey, yo, it looks like South." He said it looks like Africa and South America used to fit together like a puzzle piece. Al Gore told this story, and he asked the teacher, and the teacher said, "No, that's the most preposterous thing they've ever heard." And then Pangea became like the accepted theory, right? But at the time, an educated individual was taught like they didn't know that. Right, education is literally a collection of society's understanding.
A high school, that's an anecdote on a high school history teacher who was not educated in the history of geography.
At this point, it's like you just are trying to reject the truth.
You're making points to things that don't apply to what your argument is.
An educated person today will say the Earth is round, right? But the truth of the matter is the Earth isn't round. The Earth is a lumpy ass rock floating through space. And if you take all the water off the Earth, it becomes lumpier. And how do I know that? If I walk outside of my house, I can see fucking lumps, and we call them hills, right? I see mountains. So that tells me that the Earth isn't fucking round. It's a giant lumpy ass rock floating through space. That's what it is.
I think this goes back to the semantics thing, though. Nobody's claiming the Earth is perfectly spherical and round. They understand that there's mountains and there's ridges. Right. They use round as a very vague.
The problem with that is most people's minds exist in a place to where they like truly believe that it's perfectly round. Right. For instance, or we talk about space. We talk about space, right? We talk about space, bro. We talk about space. A lot of people's minds are in a spot to where they think that there's a difference, like there's like a barrier between Earth and space. But the truth of the matter is everything above physical land is outer space. The only difference is the further away from the rock you go,
there's actually phases of atmosphere that separate us from
right. No, space. But it's still outer space. There's no physical barrier
there's
separating.
A definition for outer space.
There's no physical barrier separate, bro. Anything if the Earth crumbled today, right? If the Earth just crumbled today, you would just be floating through space like we are now. We're on a giant rock floating through space, right?
That's because our atmosphere would have collapsed.
The atmosphere. What do you mean the atmosphere collapsed? That's what I'm saying. Like the atmosphere isn't a physical thing, right? It's just that
the definition of outer space is the physical universe beyond the Earth's atmosphere.
It's definitely a physical thing. It's different elements.
There's no barrier. There's no actual real life barrier between.
What makes up a physical thing to you?
That's physical.
Okay, so matter. You're telling me matter. So matter. So matter is a physical thing.
Can you punch your hand through a center? You know what physical is, right? Like
matter, which is either a liquid, a solid, or a gas.
You can wave your hand right now.
It's a gaseous physical.
You can wave your hand right now.
Gaseous doesn't mean it's a physical thing.
I'm sorry, you're not right. At this point, I don't even care about being humble anymore. You guys are wrong. You're wrong. You're not right.
Wrong that a gas is not a physical thing.
Everything above physical ground is space, right? Everything above physical ground is space. No, the thing is the further you go, you're not gonna burst through some giant fucking shatter or barrier or firmament like the flat earthers believe. You just keep going, right? Like you just keep going. There's no physical barrier. There's nothing between us. There's nothing between us and the moon. The only thing is like as we go farther, as we travel farther away from the rock that we stand on, there's going to be less matter or material or oxygen molecules or whatever that we can breathe, right? So the further out we go, the less of that there is, and the climate becomes inhospitable to us. But there's no action. Like there's still particles floating through space right now, the UVs and all of that. Like we're just on a giant rock. And everything above the physical ground is in space. That's the truth. And to argue with that is goofy.
The nitrogen in the atmosphere is a physical thing that is holding you.
Y'all are wrong. Y'all are wrong. And if you can't see that you're wrong, then that's sad.
Are you telling me that's sad? You're telling me nitrogen is not a physical thing?
The indoctrination but there's still X-rays floating through outer space and gamma rays. Can those be considered physical because they can cause physical damage?
Yes,
exactly. So what I'm telling you, there's still all of that floating through us now. There's no difference between. Everything above physical ground is in space. That's the truth.
You just said that X-rays and things were physical. So by that definition,
regardless,
barrier between
you guys
us
look
and space.
goofy. Listen to what you're
the
trying to.
The atmosphere is the barrier between us and outer space.
Physical land is everything above the physical land is in space. Everything above physical land, you're in space. To argue with that is goofy.
No, what I'm arguing with is that you're saying there's no barrier between the ground and space. There's a barrier of nitrogen. There's nitrogen. Bro, there's a nitrogen and oxygen barrier between us and outer space.
Does it shatter if I shoot a bullet at it?
It can burn away.
If I shoot a bullet at it, will it shatter like glass?
Why do you have to shatter?
Because there's
electrolyte, it moves for a second.
Bro, y'all are idiots. I'm sorry. I don't care.
You're burning. Idiots, bro. When you shoot the bullet, you're burning the oxygen in the area.
You guys are idiots.
You don't know.
Are you guys trying to argue? Are you guys trying to argue because you're upset because I'm smarter than you? Because I'm smarter than you?
You're saying things with no basis of evidence.
I'm telling the truth. I'm sorry that you've been lied to so much. I'm sorry that your brain isn't developed enough to recognize the truth. Right? What I'm telling you is
you don't understand that the atmosphere is a physical thing.
Nigga, I am God. You don't understand. You don't understand what you're talking about. Everything above everything. That's another thing, bro. Why would I be insulted for being called Ye? He's a billionaire. Ye's life is better than what you could ever hope to achieve for yourself.
Yeah, losing custody of your kids is a great life to have, but
losing custody of your kids. He still gets surrounded, bro. Y'all are weird. Y'all are weird, bro. Y'all be trying to talk. Nah, stop. Y'all be trying to talk about Ye like he's crazy. Like y'all was trying to bash him for wearing socks outside. Why doesn't he have on shoes?
That's meant to be weird. About his socks.
I'm talking about society, bro. Y'all are weirdos. You guys spend so much time trying to insult people. Bro. He's a billionaire. He's a motherfucking self-made billionaire. He's got his family.
What does that have to do with you? What does that have to do with you? Stop for a second.
You just compared me to him, and I'll take that as a compliment. That's supposed to be.
Because I want to know what that has to do with you.
Nobody in their wildest dreams would ever compare you to Ye, and that says more about you than it does about him. Because you're nobody. You're a loser and you're an idiot, and you follow everything that you're told.
What does that have to do with you not understanding gaseous
you don't
science?
Understand. This is what I mean. Like this, I just got through explaining the example. If I sat in a group of idiots and told them Santa Claus was fake, they would try to make me seem crazy. You're the idiot right now. I'm telling. Like
there's no barrier between ground and space.
There's no barrier between ground and space. That's
so the atmosphere doesn't exist.
All right, go bring the barrier to me. Go bring me the barrier.
You're breathing it right now.
Go bring me the barrier.
You're breathing it right now, and without it, you would suffocate without it.
You are an idiot. There is no difference between the ground there is no barrier between everything above physical ground is in space. That's the truth. And to argue with that is just idiotic. That's the truth. Go bring me the barrier. Go bring me the barrier and set it on my table.
You're breathing it. It's a gaseous thing. There's 3 levels of matter,
and you're gonna die. You can go further. You can go further off. Like you can go further off of the physical, and then like you get high enough, and you're still going to be breathing stuff in. It just becomes inhospitable, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, because my lungs are not designed to.
It doesn't matter.
Survive
all of that doesn't matter, though. What I'm telling you is everything above physical ground. Everything above physical ground is space. That's the truth. That's the truth.
What you said there's no barrier between the ground and outer space.
Go bring me the barrier then.
You're literally breathing it in.
Go bring me the barrier.
Without it, you wouldn't.
Go bring me the barrier.
You're sitting in it.
Pick it up. Hey, look. I can pick up my phone. Go pick up the barrier for me.
So you're saying that gases are not a physical thing.
Like you're in space.
You're telling me. So what your argument is that gas isn't matter. You're saying gas isn't matter.
That's not what I'm saying. Don't try to flip my words. If I said
that's what you're saying.
Say that.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is
exactly.
gases matter, which would be a physical barrier between you and outer space.
So don't misconstrue my words to offer new advice. If I said it, then I said it. If I didn't say it, then I didn't say it. If I said it, then that's what I said. What I said was everything above the physical ground is space. That's what I said. That is the truth.
No, you said no. Your word was there was no barrier between the ground and outer space, and I said there is. There's a gaseous
ground itself.
No, there's a gaseous physical barrier called the atmosphere.
No, you're an idiot. I'm sorry, bro. You're
wrong. The atmosphere doesn't exist.
You're an idiot. It exists in the mind of humanity for sure, right? It's all space, regardless of the way you want to classify it. It's all space. It's space. It's what it is. Is it not space? Is it not space? It's space.
So
that's what it is.
By space, you mean the
outer space,
the area,
outer space, inner space, outer space, whatever you want to call it. It's space. That's what it is. The same way that there's no actual like switch that flips from a kid to an adult outside of like, oh, now you're 18. So you're telling me that when I was 17 years and 364 days that I was an idiot, and now I'm 18 and I'm the smartest person?
No. You're an idiot now, just like you were then
you're
too.
An idiot. Imagine calling God an idiot. That says more about you than anybody. You're laughing. You're goofy. I told you not to laugh.
Because you're a funny guy. You're a comedian.
You waste time.
You're a funny guy, dude.
You're a time waster, bro. That's what I mean.
Yeah, maybe I am.
That's why I made that statement earlier. I hate being around people who waste time, bro. Go take some time and grow a little bit. Do some self-reflection. Go learn a thing or two. Because I'm sorry, and bro, I apologize for coming onto your podcast and being like this, bro. But I'm sorry, your co-host is kind of goofy. The one-on-one conversation between you and I is definitely cordial, right? But he's goofy, bro.
Cordial, he's called us an idiot first.
And you're an idiot, and I noticed that early on, bro. I tried to avoid.
I asked you a question about the evidence basing your claim, and you called me an idiot.
Tendencies continued, right? And that's what I'm saying. When I made that statement about not being around time wasters, I made that specifically because of something that you said or something that you did, and now you're continuing to show.
I'm sure you've got a great read on everybody, bud. You're a real mind reader.
You're an idiot. Listen to yourself. You're dumb. You're literally dumb, and you're laughing.
I told you I was. You asked me, do I think I'm dumb? I said, yeah, pretty much.
Your co-host can see your idiocracy, but he's not speaking up. He doesn't want to speak to it. He can visually see your idiocracy right now. That's why he's staying quiet. He can visually see that you're wrong. He's using his mind. He's used his mind, and he understands. And now he's just listening to me call you an idiot, and he's not saying anything because he understands that it's true. And if he says something against
I think he just knows that it's good radio to hear you rant like a fool.
If he says something against it to protect you, right? Then he'll feel good for a second, but then he's gonna know deep down, not even deep down, he'll know nah, but my co-host is an idiot because you're an idiot. You're an idiot,
I think
bro.
the difference is
you're stupid.
You're not even letting anyone talk because you're insecure.
I don't want to hear stupid people
talk. You're insecure about what anyone else will say to you. That isn't exactly what your weird.
You know how we just got through talking about regurgitating information?
You're regurgitating Andrew Tate, dude. You don't even have.
I'm not regurgitating shit.
You haven't said anything based with evidence. You have no evidence to base the thing you said.
Everything I said is
true. It isn't, though.
You're an idiot.
It's not.
This is what I'm saying.
You have no evidence.
You're the person who believes in Santa Claus because you're regurgitating what you've been given.
Definitely don't believe in Santa. There's strict evidence that would support that.
I'm sorry, bro. You're not smart. Go do something with yourself. Go do something. Just use your brain. All you got to do is use your brain. You're a perfect example. All you have to do is use your brain, but you don't know how to use your brain because your whole thing is, I want to be better than this guy, or I want to be smarter. That's what wastes time.
Wasn't my plan at all. I actually got on thinking, we'll ask this guy about his music and comedy. I actually got on thinking,
I don't care about none of that stuff. All that stuff is goofy. That stuff doesn't exist. That stuff is only relevant to this time period. It's only relevant to this time period. It's not that there's no guarantee that music and podcasts make it out another century or 2 centuries or 3 centuries. They could, right? Because they've lasted for so long, but there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee about that.
I don't plan on doing this for another couple centuries. I tell you
for sure. But in general, you guys focus on so many things that are only here for now, right? For instance, just trying
to enjoy myself, better myself every day.
Well, you're not getting better. It doesn't. It looks like
Am
you're
I
getting
not?
worse. Josh seems to be getting better. You appear to be getting worse. If you
I'm getting very much worse every day. I'm sick. I'm
how
sick in
about
the
this?
head,
No,
aren't I?
You're
Aren't I?
getting better.
God, I'm sick.
You're getting better at being yourself, but you're going down the wrong way. So like you're getting better at being an idiot for sure. So congratulations if you want a round of applause on that.
Because I like evidence to support claims.
You're an idiot. Because you're an
over
idiot.
What?
Over this whole conversation, go listen to it again. Go sit with it.
It would be hard to listen to you again, man.
Go live a little. I mean, for you, but most people respect me, right? Like I can walk into a church.
Yeah, they're probably just polite.
Nah,
they're probably polite. They just don't show you their
for sure
their discontent to their face.
For sure. If that's how you have to cope with it, then that's how you have to cope with it. And
I don't have to cope at all. I'm not even going to think about it.
After this podcast is done, like you have to wake up and keep being you, and I get to wake up and keep being me. And that's the saving grace in all of this is I get to know that I'm going to be me forever, and you're going to be you forever. So I mean, I guess if there's any solace in that, is this the fact that like once this is over, I'll probably think about Josh again, but I'll probably never think about you again because you're a nobody.
I mean, oh damn! I had okay.
No, okay.
Anyway, but when the podcast is done, I think our mindset will be more of, man, remember when we had that idiot on that believes in nothing with no basis in claims?
No, speak for yourself. You're not allowed to speak for Josh. You have to speak for yourself. Don't try to wrap him into whatever.
He's just more polite than me.
No, speak for yourself.
More polite than
Let
me.
him speak for him and you speak for you. Say
He's
what
just
you
more
think.
polite.
No, say you feel that. Don't say he feels that because look, I would never do that to my homie. Let's say I'm out somewhere kicking it and someone rolls up to me and I'm like, yeah, bro.
No, see, you're saying I'm doing something I'm not. No, see, you're conflating two different things.
Stop talking so you can hear it.
No,
I'm the guest.
You literally take
stop
one
talking
sentence
so I can get it out.
You have done nothing but say nonsense for an hour and a half. You're the guest. You're the rudest guest we've had by far. You're not acting very guestly.
You're the rudest fucking host. You know how many podcasts I've been on? I've never spoken like this on any podcast. I've been on over fucking 10 to 15 podcasts.
That's because they just probably let you.
No, it's because they let me. It's because they don't argue with me, or it's because they don't cut me off every time I'm trying to say a fucking phrase.
Ask you questions about the crazy stuff you're saying.
No, stop talking.
I'm gonna keep talking. I'm gonna do it.
Like, bro,
I'm gonna keep talking. Like so I'm gonna be here still talking.
If I go out to the block and someone looks at me and I shoot someone and they say, "Hey, who shot him?" and I said, "We shot him." Now both of us are in trouble because I said we. But in reality, I shot him. That's what you just did to your homie. You just said we think this. You said we think this. Say you think that. Say you think that. You can't speak for him. You can't speak for him. You can only speak for yourself. Be a man and stand on your own too. Learn how to stand on your own too. Be a fucking man and stand on your own fucking too, and stop trying to get other people to fight your battles.
Dude,
no respect for you. I have no respect for you. I have zero respect for people who try. I have zero respect for people who try to pull other people into their fights. Fight.
No one's pulling anybody into the fight. You and I are talking.
You just said we. You said we are going to think this. Say what you're going to think. You don't have.
Well, it was a guess. It was a speculation on the thought.
Speak for him.
No, it was a speculation on what the thought will be. I can speculate on anything I want.
Learn how to stand up on your own too.
You're speculating on things all day.
I'm not speculating on shit. I'm God, nigga.
Everything you said is a speculation.
I'm God. How'd that make you feel to know that? I'm God, nigga. How'd that make you feel? I'm God.
I could care less, honestly.
Nigga. You fucking idiot. You're an idiot. Okay. I can't stand idiots. You're an idiot.
I'm an idiot calling people the N-word. That's me.
Nigger, bro, nigger doesn't matter. They're words. Am I not allowed to say it? You're an idiot.
You could say it. I didn't say you weren't allowed.
It's the truth. It's the truth. And
you
the
say
thing
whatever
is,
you want.
Like, even as I'm coming out and saying this, like everyone's feeling what I'm saying regardless. Nobody's gonna look at me and
approach me you're speaking on behalf of others.
Nobody's gonna look at me and approach me. Nobody's gonna look at me and approach me.
Speaking on behalf of others now.
I enjoy The Office. That's a good show. I still think you're an idiot. Nobody's gonna look at me and approach me. Nobody's gonna look at me and approach me any differently after this because they understand that what I'm saying is true and I'm gonna stand on my own. Nobody's gonna be like, damn, you went too far, you did too much. Nobody, Josh maybe, but I doubt it. No one's gonna say that. Like my
How'd The Office get dragged into this?
Bro said how the turntables, like Michael Scott said when my had the turntables.
Okay. I get you.
But regardless of that,
I missed
like,
it.
If anything, like my reflection is probably increased. I've probably got more respect now from energetically, because I'm not going to continue to allow you idiots, I'm not going to continue to allow idiots to try to manipulate situations, or to try and play victim, or to try and start a fight and try to run.
No one has manipulated a situation.
That's why people don't like
or I asked questions of
because Trump
evidence.
As a matter of fact, bro, I got the perfect. You wanted to talk about music? I got a lyric for this, right?
Is this your song or is this?
I said, yeah, it's my song. It's my song. So
okay.
it was along. It said, I've been fighting for. You can't tell because you've been blinded by them niggas who preaching on Sunday service and the politicians. Damn it, you see that I make them nervous. My presence too abrasive. I'm filling the spot with truth. So them liars get to running. They know that I'm letting loose. That's what's going on right now. My presence is too abrasive because I tell the truth. That's why they hated Jesus. He told the truth. That's why they hated MLK. He told the truth. That's why they hate Trump. He tells the truth. That's why they hate Tate. They tell the truth. Anytime you tell the truth, liars get defensive. Liars get defensive because liars don't want the truth to come out. That's why liars are liars. Liars spin. So anybody who doesn't respect me has something wrong, because I'm God, right? And it's to the point to where most people around me are like, if you don't respect him, then there's a problem with you. It's not him, because he's too consistent. He's been too consistent to who he is. He's been too consistent. So now, anytime something happens, nobody looks at me. If someone has a problem with me, no one's looking at me to be the problem. They're looking at the other person and they're addressing those people. That's the change that I've seen happening in my life. And that's what's going on now. So you need to figure out whatever the hell is wrong within your brain, and you need to get it fixed. You need to stop.
That I like evidence?
You see no, that you're an idiot. You're an idiot, bro.
Okay. All right. Yes, earlier, if I thought I was dumb, I told you yes. You asked, how am I in denial? You said, do you think you're dumb? I said, I like to think so.
When I speak, it's true, right? Like, not because I'm God, just because when I speak, it's true, right? So I'm telling you you're an idiot. That's the truth, because I said it. You said no, therefore you're in denial.
No, I wouldn't say I'm not an idiot. You asked earlier, do you think you're dumb? I went, yes. But I would be. Hold on for 1 second. See, you don't let anybody say more than 2 seconds.
Oh, you don't like it when it's done to you, but it's okay when you
gaslit.
You don't like it when I do it to you, but you like to do it to me, because you've been doing it to me this whole fucking show. So now that I'm doing it to you, it's a problem.
You would go for 20 minutes on a tangent that was
you just
go on a 20-minute disjointed tangent. We got to keep it on the rails a little bit.
But it's okay for you to do it to me. Hey, it's cool when they do it. It's a problem when I do it. You don't like it when I do it to you.
I'm trying to stick to one thing.
You don't like that I'm doing what you've been doing to me this whole episode.
I'm trying to stick to one thing. No, there's a difference between.
You don't like that. There's no difference. There is a difference.
The difference is I'm trying to stick on one point, and you're trying to brush over. You're trying to brush over.
You're upset.
I'm not upset.
Because I'm showing you the same
I promise I'm not upset. Don't assume my feelings. I haven't told you that.
You're not going to let me speak. I'm not assuming shit. I'm going off of actions.
You are assuming my
feelings.
Louder
than words.
I'm still just trying to stick to your first point you say.
You got upset.
I'm not upset.
You got upset.
I have yet to be upset.
You know what's crazy, though, is we started this whole conversation on how people regurgitate what they're given, and we just had a full experience of why you shouldn't regurgitate what you're given, because this guy's an idiot.
I'm trying to address one of your points at a time, but you go so far past them and disjointedly.
That's like if I hear somebody tell me 3 + 3 = 9, I don't want to hear anything you have to say anymore.
I haven't told you nothing that wasn't backed with evidence. This probably would have been one of the better
podcasts if Josh would have just, like, I knew from the jump, though. I heard the giggling and the chuckles like a fucking child. It's crazy when the adults behave more like children than children do.
You're disjointed.
Bro, Josh said he had good. Josh, I apologize. I'm apologizing to you, Josh, because Josh said he had questions. He said he had it all lined up, and I was ready to go. But you inject toxicity into situations. You, Benjamin or Klaus, or whatever the fuck your name is, you inject toxicity
by asking you a question about your claims.
No, because you're an idiot. You don't take this as serious. You don't take this as serious as Josh does. This podcast is a joke to you. I can tell. Josh enjoys doing this. It's a joke to you. That's why you don't take it serious.
It's pretty fun hearing you say a bunch of craziness.
You're an idiot. Like, you're an idiot. You inject.
I'm an idiot for asking for why you.
put poison into situations. That's what it is. Like, that's what it is, bro. Like, you can tell when you're around people who you need to be around and who you don't need to be around. Like, you probably, like, people pray like, hey, yo, God, help me spot my foes. And it's like, bro, like, this dude's an idiot. Like, this guy's an idiot. He's not a good person. He's a toxic individual. He injects toxic and poison into situations and tries to get spins or whatever, and then tries to play the victim whenever, but you can't beat me.
Haven't done that yet.
You.
I have not yet to do that. When have I played the victim? Never
idiot.
Once.
This whole time, listen to the thing
Never
over,
once.
bro. This whole time, like, and if you upload this, I'ma still promo and I'ma show niggas what I'm saying flat out, and all that other niggas aside, because you're a fucking idiot, bro. Like this is what like
you haven't
bro,
you haven't stated why.
Hey, hold on, hey,
you can.
Bro,
I'm open to listen why you would think I'm an idiot, but you don't have any.
Out, bro. If you go drink a cup of bleach right now, you go to Venus. Go do that real quick and pull yourself out of the gene pool.
But there'd be no evidence based to support that. Go
find where Jesus is at. Go find where Jesus went to right now. Go find where Jesus went to. That's what you should go do right now. Go figure out where Jesus.
See, I don't disagree with you that I'm an idiot. I just don't know why you would think that for me wondering what your evidence to support your claims would be.
Go to the place MLK's at. Like, just go do that. Go to the.
I would rather worry about my own day-to-day things that I take care of and control in my own space. The best thing for this planet and the best thing for you is you should go figure out where Jesus and MLK are. Like, go find out where they went to. Like, that's the best thing you can do for us right now, because we don't. No, I don't think you know what the best thing for me is.
You're literally the movie Idiocracy. The way the movie Idiocracy started was like all the dumbasses kept breeding, and the smart people couldn't breed, and the dumbasses bred more dumbasses. Right? Like, that's the way society. That's why society looks the way it looks.
I just say I've never seen that movie.
Racism is
pretty good.
I'll give you an example. Racism still exists because, like, when racism, like, racist people teach their village or kids or whatever how to be racist, and then those people become teachers, politicians, lawmakers, police officers, and they continue to spread in whatever else in society, and they continue to spread those same racist beliefs. And, like, that's what it is. Idiocracy is a movie where, like, this guy went to the future, and the idiots kept having children, and the
is this
rich
a time travel movie?
It is a time travel movie.
That.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought it just took place.
It's not a time travel movie.
They do the Futurama. He does go back in time.
Okay.
I mean, this guy.
The only thing I know about that movie is that's where Crocs got started.
It's a Mike Judge movie.
The guy. It was a military
Crocs
experiment
because they thought they were futuristic.
And it was a military experiment, and the guy, they were supposed to be there for like a year or whatever. The military was corrupt, and they ended up like being like 500 years or 1,000 years in the future. The guy was averaging his timeline, but he was the smartest person on the planet. Then they were watering their crops with Gatorade and wondering why they didn't work, and they were calling that guy the idiot because he was smarter than all of them, and they couldn't recognize it, right? And the reason is because,
is this Luke Wilson's character?
Yes.
Whoever the white guy is. One guy. That's what it is. Like, I'm telling the truth. I'm not apologizing for telling the truth. Like, I'll never apologize, because
no one's asking
really
you to.
all we should be doing. Like, is tell the truth, right? And it's like, if you can't understand the things that I'm saying, like, then that means that you need to listen more. Don't try to tell me why I'm wrong, right? I don't just say things to say things, right? I say things because I've spent enough time.
You're definitely saying things to say things, because you're saying Trump is a truthful man, and he's one of the biggest liars we know.
Experiments externally, right? It's the same way that I don't say things until I've seen enough to be able to say this is the truth. You definitely
say things with no backing or basis at all whatsoever.
You're an idiot.
You have no basis behind what you say. You just say
you're not arguing with me.
You're the regurgitator. You've got to hold the mirror up to yourself for what you're saying about your own self.
I've never heard anybody tell me that everything above physical land is space. Who the fuck regurgitated that? I'm regurgitating myself at this point.
Probably some other idiot you heard on the internet.
You're an idiot, bro. You're an idiot.
I haven't disagreed with you yet on the claim.
So why is he here, bro? Like, fuck. I don't like being around idiots. You see, this is what happens when you have idiots around. Idiots create idiotic situations. You're an idiot. It's apparent even in my vocabulary and the way I speak. You're nowhere near my level mentally when it comes to education or smarts. You're a fucking idiot. You couldn't hold a candle to me on your best day. My worst day is better than the best day that you will ever experience. You penny pinching peon. I hope you paid your taxes. You penny pinching fucking peon. You're an idiot.
I did pay my taxes. I made sure. Gotta make sure you pay your taxes.
You're not a smart individual.
You don't pay your taxes?
Smart. You're not smart. Like,
you're
a fucking loser, bro. You're not smart. Go do something use your mind. You're the reason why people are still in this stupid fucking state. Because when I come to try to help you guys, I get fucking idiots like you who think they know what's going on and you just fucking waste time. People are tired of living like this, but people can't fucking hear me because we got fucking idiots like you who don't know how to shut the fuck up and listen. You had your turn to speak. How old are you? 40, 50? Shut the fuck up. If you guys knew what you were doing, then the world would look better than what it does right now. You don't know what the fuck you're doing, and that's apparent in the way society is. You've had your turn. Your turn is up. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what's going on. That's apparent. So now let the people who do know what's going on handle what needs to be done. You guys have been doing the same shit over and over, and look at where the fuck it's gotten everybody. Keep your fucking mouth shut. You don't know what's going on. This is bigger than a stupid fucking podcast. This is bigger than fucking music. This is people's actual lives. This is people's minds actually being fucked with, and you stupid fucking idiot can't see how big of a fucking deal that it is that I'm trying to give you the fucking truth, and you're out here doing whatever the fuck you're doing, which is hurting the fucking process. Shut up. You don't know what you're doing. You're a fucking idiot. If you knew what you were doing, then the world would look way fucking better than what it does. And the world looks like shit because idiots like you like to try to tell the smart people that we don't know what the fuck is going on.
That's not at all what I tell people.
If you guys were so fucking smart, then we would live in a fucking utopia. But we don't. So shut the fuck up because this is way bigger than what you could fucking imagine.
You don't know anything about what I believe.
You're an idiot.
You don't even know what I believe. You're assigning random beliefs to me.
You're an idiot. You're an idiot. We don't need you speaking, Josh. I apologize, bro. If you don't put it up, I understand.
I didn't want to talk over people. I just said I know we're running a little late here, so I needed to wrap soon. I just didn't want to interrupt anyone's points coming out. I apologize.
That's what it is. Like this is bigger than all of this technology and shit. Like I'm tired of people getting in the way because they think they want to be right. And if you knew what was going on, bro, then like you would have spoken up a long time ago and the world would look better. But you don't know what's going on. Accept that. Accept it. You don't know what's going on. It's the truth. So stop getting in the way of people who know what's going on and trying to question people who know what's going on simply because your penny fucking pinching brain can't comprehend it. Stop talking. That's your assignment. Learn how to stop talking. Learn how to be humble. Learn how to stop talking.
I think you could take a page from that class. I don't give a fuck
what you. Stop talking. What did I just tell you? Listen to yourself.
We do got to wrap though, but man, I would like to go a little more, but we got to wrap though. We both got to be up early for work.
You're an idiot. Penny pinching peon.
Okay.
Sorry this didn't go the way I planned. I appreciate you taking the time though, man, to be here. I really do. Where can people go to check out all your stuff, man?
Just wherever you listen to music, Instagram, _no_ITS_GOD. God, just type in Burn Your Maps wherever you listen to music. Y'all will see me soon enough when you're supposed to anyway, bro. Like all that shit on the outside doesn't really matter. But if you want some actual like truths and education, bro, like then just you can find me. Like as simple as that. Don't listen to this nigga Klaus or Benjamin. Like anytime he speaks, just whatever he says, think the opposite, and that'll probably be good for you.
Well, I would say to start with his stand-up comedy. It was pretty good for a first time. Definitely could see some potential there. But don't listen to me on that, though.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Robert, for listening. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time.